Hello and a good Monday morning to you, my candy wrapper bonbons of spooky twal. How's that? Coffee cheers to you. It is I, Hatley, with today's weekly reading book review, as well as one other story I consumed this week. So should you like to talk about books and stories, please pour yourself a cup of coffee and let's talk about stories. The first book I read this week, this is The Wand Keepers, The Mummy Snatcher Curse by Tiffany McDaniel. I am obsessed with this series. I will just proclaim it till the day I die because I love it so much. So the first one was The Wand Keepers, A Sky Full of Dragons, available in hardcover and paperback. And the sequel just came out last week. I love it so much. It is lightly illustrated throughout. There are silly footnotes. I poorly read you a great one last week. And it's just quirky. It's quirky. It's magical. It's weird. It's all the things I love. It's adventure and travel and characters, and I just love it. I love it. And if you're in the crayon box or would like to be, you're probably going to get some new art this month inspired by Tiffany's world of The Wand Keepers. Love it so much. Also, the protagonist is 10. It's a big, nice sized middle grade read, but I love a younger protagonist. I just do. Okay, the next one I finished last night. This is Hour of the Pumpkin Queen by the one and only Megan Shepherd. You may recall that Shay Earnshaw wrote Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, obviously Sally from Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, and this is number 2. So you don't have to read the first one to enjoy this one, but again, Sally saves the day. She's a hero, collects quirky critters along the way, and I love just living in that expanded world of The Nightmare Before Christmas because it's just so incredible. Do I love the film? Not so much. Do I love the artistry and the characters and the settings and the claymation of it? Heck yeah. So, love the vibes and really, really enjoyed this book. Well done, Megan. Thank you for writing this. And I'm glad they tapped you to write Sally's next story. I love it. So cool. Okay, just lingering here on that beautiful cover art. Barnes & Noble had a special edition with stained edges. Mine's not that edition because I ordered it. This was my indie bookstore pre-order signed copy of the month. Look, she drew Sally's little smile for me from Malaprops last month. So yay, thank you, Megan. Okay, and then the one I finished this morning. This is Kate DiCamillo's new one. Again, just came out last week. Lost Evangeline. This is the third Normandy tale. Is it Normandy? Norendi. Awkward. Anyway, so beautiful. Illustrated by Sophie Blackall, who is, one more than the one called the cat, at least on her. It's just the perfect fairy tale. Look, they even put like a glued in little flap of art. I have not seen that since like an antique art book print. Just gorgeous. And gorgeous illustrations throughout. It is a perfect fairy tale. Again, you don't need to read the first 2 in the series, The Puppets of Spellhorst and The Hotel Balthazar, but they're also excellent. So love this trim little gorgeous volume. Thank you, Candlewick, for caring about art and stories, and our favorite authors and illustrators, pairing them together in those shiny edges. So absolutely adored Lost Evangeline by Kate DiCamillo. Highly recommend for all ages. It's beautiful. Okay, currently reading. I started this morning and have an awkward to-do list bookmark. This is all art pieces to make to-do list. This is Paul Tremblay's Another. This is obviously spooky middle grade from Quilltree. Yeah, Quilltree, aka HarperCollins, sent me a copy of this. So not paid to endorse it. They just said, hey, if you want to read it and talk about it, sure. So yeah, this is weird. Really love it for a few reasons already. I'm only on page 46. However, there is a middle school boy who is on spring break during the pandemic. So school is awkward, half online, half in person. Something happened last year, awkward on Zoom, and he's super self-conscious about it, has a nervous eye twitch now because of it and all the stress. And so it's super relatable, not just for kids who have had to do virtual learning and in-person learning and social distancing, but also grown-ups who deal with anxiety and awkwardness. And anyway, arrives on his porch is like this weird clay boy-esque figure, and he can't talk or eat or sleep, but he like molds his like silly putty face is how it's described into like happy, sad, whatever. And so it's super weird, and his parents are kind of like brainwashed to like, this is normal, he has a new friend, yay. Whew. So if you can handle that, enjoying it. It's just really interesting with kids and spooky. Okay, I did watch from the library. This is Julie Taymor's Tempest. Didn't love it, got distracted, just started drawing while it was playing, but I did love, of course, more than the actual film itself, the 1-hour documentary of the making of that showed rehearsals and the photographers they hired to do special effects. And Sandy Powell was the costume designer who I went and got to see her costume exhibit at SCADFash in Atlanta earlier this year. So that was interesting. Behind the scenes was interesting. The Hawaiian island they filmed on, a private island that had all this obscure otherworldly landscapes and climates, obviously. And so that was lovely. So go ahead and watch the documentary. Watch the film if you wish. The cast was great. I didn't love it because it was weird. But now I appreciate it. And if I had the brain capacity, I would rewatch it with a new appreciation. But it was strange. I love strange. There's just a line. Okay. Sort of currently reading. This I mentioned in my newsletter, if not last week as well. This is Haunted USA, spine-tingling stories from all 50 states. I'm just leaving this by my coffee table, which is actually an antique piano bench, and flipping through and reading each story one at a time, read a few at a time. Loving it. The art by Sam Kalda is just stunning. So sort of currently reading and having as a coffee table book, literally, for this spooky month. I also read, this is Hello Broadway, A Young Person's Guide to the World of Musical Theater. I pre-ordered this book because I saw it, and you know how I love musicals and write books about kids going to the theater, participating in theater and musicals and things. And I thought, why in the world is this picture book so expensive? So it's really great. Sorry, my receipt just fell out. And it's illustrated. These grandparents take the kids to see a show, and it's great. But what's fun is you press the button, and in the back, here's why it's expensive, there's a little like soundboard. So you get snippets from like Tuck Everlasting and Give My Regards to Broadway, Alone in the Universe from Seussical. So it is an interactive singing book that introduces kids to going to the theater, going to a Broadway show, going to see musical theater and the orchestra, and had a cool little glossary in the back. Explained within the text, but also really well done in the back. So thoroughly enjoyed that interactive picture book. Okay, might read next. Definitely last week's might read pile did not happen, and I read a lot less than I expected to. However, again, from the publisher, Quiltree, they sent me this book, and I've been seeing amazing reviews. At least the publicity has gone wild for it. So it's showing up in all my email newsletters and bookstore newsletters. This is N.D. Stevenson's Scarlet Morning. So illustrated middle grade. This author illustrator created Nimona, if you're familiar with that. I think that's a cartoon now even. Anyway, so beautiful, illustrated, hefty, middle grade. Might read next. I'm curious about it. Also, an old book of the month, Forget-Me-Not, Stacy Willingham. It looks spooky and appropriate for the season. Might read that. And I would like to finish this giant, beautiful tome. This is The Grammar of Fantasy by Gianni Rodari and illustrated by the one and only Matthew Forsythe, who I showed you Aggie and the Ghost here, if not, and/or in my Patreon, the Crayon Box. Anyway, this is nonfiction about writing and telling stories for children. And I started it while I was at Highlights, and you know me, I got distracted. So I would love to keep reading that one. Okay, that's all I got. Hope you have a most marvelous week. I hope crisp fall breezes are in the air. I will be painting, I will be writing, I will be revising, and first thing after I upload this lovely video for you fine folks, I will be finishing the Crayon Box sticker mail for the month. So it's not too late if you want October's happy, spooky, cute sticker. Link in my bio, all the things, and we'll talk at you later. Okay, enjoy. Oh, and let me know what stories you're reading, loving, enjoying, listening to, etc. Okay, cool. All right, love ya.